Hello, this is Faye from the Home Salon Specialist. So I think the biggest question that everyone always asks when you're starting a business is how to get new clients and customers. I know it's definitely the question that I asked and have carried on asking over time. So what I'm going to do is two videos. This is the first video, so this is more of the traditional way of marketing and advertising, and I think it's really useful to start out with because these are things that everyone can do and very cost effective. In the second video that I'll do in a couple of weeks time is I will do sort of more of the online marketing, that I have to say is the one that really made my business take off, but it's just because these are old-fashioned ways of doing it, then I don't think they're bad things, because they definitely have been helpful to me over the years. So when I started out 12 to 13 years ago, what I did was I got myself some leaflets and I got them printed out, or I made them online and got them printed out by sort of a well-known business that does that sort of thing online. I won't bother because there's so many different ones now. So I got my leaflets done and things like also business cards. So get your leaflets done. I would just suggest that you don't get many made, just perhaps 500 or 600 to start off with. Although that's not the most cost-effective way of doing it. Obviously, it's more cost-effective to get them done in their thousands. What I found was that if I had 1,000 made, especially when I first started out, was I'd then think, oh my goodness, I've now done another therapy, so it's now not up to date. Or I then, as I was learning and going along, you find that maybe, I didn't price that quite right, and it should be this price over that one. Or, I think in the beginning I was even putting like what products I was perhaps using, and then I'd be using a different product, and I thought that's not relevant. You can get really bogged down with all that sort of thing. So make really simple leaflets, only have a small run to start off with, and then if you need to make changes, you decide to change your font colour or your name or whatever when you first start out, it's not a disaster because you haven't got to throw away 500 leaflets. So get yourself some leaflets printed, get yourself a few small posters, and then what you need to do is just pop them all in a backpack and get out there, really. So what I would do is maybe on the way to getting the kids from school or picking them up again, or maybe in the summer holidays they would come with me, something along those lines, I would just make sure that I popped lots of leaflets through people's doors. And I sort of had a route so that you don't keep obviously coming along the same road all the time, and just put them through as many doors as you can, really. I found it was really useful in the fact that although I didn't have loads of customers come that way, it did definitely, people would say to me, oh, I see you've started doing whatever. So even if they didn't become a customer, they didn't become a client, people did start hearing about me, which is obviously what we all want. That's really useful. I would like to say that you have to put out lots and only get a really small minority of people coming back and being interested. So don't be disheartened from that. I think it's lower than like 1% of leaflets that you'll drop that you'll get somebody even phone up about it. So don't be disheartened. But my longest coming client, who's been coming for I think 13 years since started coming the first year I started. He comes every 2 weeks and has a back massage, and he's been doing that for the last 13 years, and he found me because I put a leaflet through his door. So it was well worth it just on that one. So it's well worth doing, and it's cheap, and it's just your time, and at the time I had a little bit of time in between doing sort of a part-time job I had elsewhere, so just trying to drum up a bit of trade and to make people know that you're here and doing it. So the other thing I would do whilst you're walking along, you're obviously putting the leaflets in the houses, make sure that they haven't got a sticker on their door saying that they don't want leaflets, because there's nothing worse than being chased down somebody's drive with your leaflet going, take this back. So that can be quite embarrassing. And the other thing is, make sure you don't put your fingers through anyone's letterbox. Having been a newspaper girl when I was 13, you soon learn not to do that, because you do not want your fingers bitten by a small dog. So just make sure you're very careful with that one, okay? And if you're taking small people with you to do a bit of delivering, make sure they know that too. So that's that one. So whilst I was walking around as well, I live in sort of on the outskirts of a city, and we've got loads of stuff near us, like newsagents went in there and paid a really nominal amount of money for them to have my little poster in the window. Hang on to the receipt obviously for that, because that is tax deductible. Also the local library, I had a poster in. I also went into, we've got quite a lot of care homes in my local area, so I went into those and I'd asked to speak to somebody and then asked them to put my leaflets and a little poster up in their staff area, so got people, you know, the odd person through there. I also actually in the end did also have some ended up going to some care homes to do some resident things and had a slightly different price point. That's a slightly different thing, but it was worth doing. Yeah, in the fish and chip shop, have a sort of pop a really small poster in there. So anything you can think of, church, village hall, pop it up in there. And as I say, people may not realise, people may not flock to you, they probably won't, but each time somebody sees your name out there, it's clocked in their subconscious. Over the years I've tried to read lots of marketing books and stuff, and it's supposed to be something like somebody won't use your services probably until they've seen you 7 or 8 times, and then once they start seeing you about 7 or 8 times, then they realise that maybe you are a professional. Maybe, you know, if they're seeing you in different places, you are a real thing. It might be worth looking at you. So anyway, so that was well worth doing. I haven't done one for years. I did them at the beginning, but well worth doing. And another thing just to pop out and say is, don't think about the house or the flat or whatever area it is. Don't be snobbish. I think I was maybe a little bit snobbish to start off with, just from the fact that I assumed that people in posh houses would have a more disposable income. They may or may not. But what I have found over the years is that you can never second guess the sort of people that are going to prioritise having a treatment with you as a priority in their life. So, you know, I have had people from all walks of life, you know, people that are unemployed, people who have got shed loads of money, and everyone in between. You know, I have had people come and have treatments with me, which is fabulous. It makes life really interesting, but it also shows that if you're only thinking that if I put these leaflets through the posh houses, that's going to get me, you know, lots of clients, it doesn't work like that. So put them through any door that you can find that hasn't got a sticker on it saying I don't want this bit through the door. So that's that one. Something else that I found quite useful is just sort of in getting my name about was whenever I was asked for gifts for gift vouchers and charity things, especially through the school that the children were at, is that I'd give a gift voucher for that, which was really handy, because what they would do is, one, it feels good because you're doing something helpful, so you know, it would go as a prize for the local tombola or something. But also they'd often have like lists of prizes, so people who were coming to the event would see, you know, that there it is with your business, you know, this could be a prize. So it's another place that people are getting to see that you're in the local area. What I would say is, rather than doing monetary amounts for your gift voucher, make sure it's for a treatment, because you don't want to come unstuck with that. And I also, with that one, I always made sure the amount of time that they needed to come and use it was slightly smaller. I usually give a year on gift vouchers, but I did usually put 6 months on that, just to try and encourage people to come earlier. Don't get me wrong, if people come after that amount of time, I still give them the treatment, because, you know, in the case of them paying for it, they're paying for it, and if I've given it out of the goodness of my heart, then they still should have it. But I think with 6 months, it just gives people a bit of a push, rather than putting it in their back drawer. But what the other thing about doing gift vouchers is, don't then be afraid that you're going to have to be doing loads and loads of work for free, because bizarrely, people often don't use gift vouchers. So more than half of the time, you will have given a gift voucher out and nobody will turn up and ever use it. Which I always think is strange, but this is what people do. So well worth doing that. So something else I would say was well worth doing, sorry I keep looking over there on my bit of paper, is a local magazine. So to start off with, I was in we had a local magazine for my area which had like, I think it was done by the parish church, but anyway, it wasn't very expensive, and I did get the odd person sort of find me that way, so that's worth doing. Again, even if people don't use you, they're seeing your little name in there, and sort of they're clicking at the back of their head that you're local, so that's all good. I would say that be very careful with anyone phoning you up and saying that they, would you like to pay X amount of money to be in their magazine? You will be the only person doing your treatment in this local area, and then all the people in, their GP, for instance, at their doctor's surgery will see it, and then you'll have lots of customers. I've had many of them over the years, and I think a lot of them are scams. I don't know if they all are, but I would stay away from them, to be quite honest. And something else, I did go on Thompson, it's not called Direct, Thompson, whatever it is, pages. I paid quite a lot of money for how much I was earning at the time, and I did it for 1 year, and then I didn't get one single person, which was quite soul destroying. So I wouldn't bother doing that again. And also make sure that any magazine that you do go is actually already happening, already something you can look at. I also paid for another magazine once, and it was like £300. It was a fortune to me at the time, and it actually turned out that they went bankrupt and no magazine was ever made, and that was my money gone. So just make sure that you can actually see a magazine before you think about you're going to be going in there. So that's that one. So also hang on to obviously all your receipts for those things, because they will be tax deductible. Another thing, and this is obviously the biggest one really of the sort of the traditional non-online ways of marketing and advertising, is word of mouth, obviously. So just get people that do come to you. If anyone comes to you, ask them to tell their friends, family, anybody else about you, and do your advertising for you. That is always the best way. And I mean, if ever I'm looking for something, plumber, whatever it is, you obviously ask other people for their recommendations, and people do that for everything. So that is obviously on the top of the list. Make sure you're good at what you're doing, and make sure people are talking about you, really. But obviously that's really hard in the beginning when you've hardly got any customers. So you can even, ask friends who have perhaps come for treatments when you were training, all that sort of thing. Make sure they're telling people as well, because unless you actually ask friends and family to advertise for you and to talk about you, for some reason they don't always realise that you want them to, or that it's an important thing. Whereas if you have actually asked them, then they're more likely to do it. So people usually want to be helpful. It's just that if they haven't got their own business, it just wouldn't have occurred to them. So yeah, that's obviously top of the list. So I hope that has been helpful to you. As I say, in a couple of weeks' time, I will be uploading one about online stuff, and that is the one that really made my business take off. But I thought it was worth talking about this one first. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you take something away from it. If there's anything you want to add in the comments, any ways you know of more traditional ways of marketing, then let me know. And that would be really helpful. If you'd like to subscribe, it'd be lovely, because then I would know that there is somebody out there that these videos are being helpful to, and I'll know to carry on doing them. Okay then, thank you very much. See you again. Bye bye.